And 5, 4, 3.
Action.
Welcome back.
Woo-hoo!
I'm Heath.
I'm Bernie.
And it's the Heath and Bernie show. Yeah.
He's still doing it.
Welcome back, people. I'm Heath and this is Bernie.
Hey,
we
y'all.
are a Black Christian married couple that have been married 26 years. And today we're going to be talking about the tricky transitions for newly married couples. We have 7 points we want to go over, at least 7 points we're going to go over. And so if you are in that stage or about to enter that stage, make sure you watch this episode because we're going to be talking about things that would really be helpful for you. The first transition we want to talk about is transitioning your value system. Your value system is the collection of your beliefs that you've acquired through the past relationships and life experiences, which you deem beneficial for your security, your well-being, and your happiness. Now, that's important. Your security, your well-being, and your happiness, because security looks like different things to different people. Yeah. Physical security, emotional security. Now, emotional security is so important that I did not understand until later after I got married. But if y'all getting married right now, let me explain to you, especially men, how you provide emotional security. Emotional security is understanding what triggers or what influences your wife's emotions or Bernie's emotions. I had to learn, okay, I knew I couldn't control you, but I needed to understand what controlled your emotions so I can control that. This year, we're targeting couples who have been married from 1 to 5 years because we're trying to help them ascertain how best to make this marriage stuff work. And the things that couples go through and transition through is really tricky out there, especially on the internet. There's a lot of people complaining about relationships and a lot of red pill community stuff, a lot of pink pill community stuff, a lot of things that people are saying negatively about relationships. Well, we want to be the antithetical counter to that by bringing what we already do with couples by helping couples try to navigate these tricky waters of relationships online to this space. How are you doing, Bernie?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Please like and subscribe.
And subscribe?
Please like and subscribe if you like this content.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you find it valuable and helpful,
yeah,
go ahead and like and subscribe. So this is our first.
How you doing?
I am doing well. Kind of busy. It's a busy season for me. So now is when it's February. And so February is when I start the grind of what we're going to be doing for the whole year.
Ramp up everything.
Yes. I was telling myself yesterday, okay, get your head down and don't look up. Just like keep your head down because it's now time to work. You've already planned. Don't be watching any more videos about how to. You already know how to. Now just execute.
And I'm going to hold on.
Yes.
That's what I do.
So we're doing we're starting a community, not starting. We are transferring our community that we already have of young adult couples, newly married couples online. We're also going to be doing some, I got to do this.
We didn't say it was season 2. We said, welcome back. This is season 2.
Oh, yes, it is season 2.
We could say it. I was getting ready to say it when you stop talking. Because we're still at the beginning.
Yes.
You said, we're also going to be doing.
We're also going to be doing some, I don't want to say live events, but we want to do dinners. We talked about doing a dinner.
Do you want to announce that though?
Yeah, we're going to be doing them. We're not announcing when we're going to do it, but we're going to be doing some dinners. So,
but are you announcing that for people to come? Like those people out there that we don't know?
Well, this is what I'm announcing, is that we are going to be doing some dinners with the people in our community. And we're going to be, as we grow, if that's something that people want to participate in, then we can extend the invitation to them. As you see, Bernie and I have talked about this very loosely. We haven't really come to an agreement on what this will actually look like.
I remember the conversation, but
yes.
It was with people we knew.
Yes.
And so, but since you're talking about it here, where thousands of people can hear and see, now I feel a little risky.
Right. But
I
see,
feel a little risky, and I want to move back and I want to start doing my backtrack thing.
Right. And I understand the backpedal that you do. And so that's why am saying we're going to be doing the dinners. Whether they be, how they're going to look, where they're going to be is still unknown. But we're going to be doing them in a curated type of way. So even if we do extend out to the other to the larger communities, it will be something that will be manageable and safe. That's why we're not doing it at our house. We're doing it either at a restaurant. Why'd you make that face?
Because that's not, it definitely wasn't going to be done at the house.
Exactly.
But it's still not safe to me if we out somewhere else and it's people that we don't know.
We go to dinner with people we don't know all the time. They're in the restaurant. We don't know those people in the restaurant.
I know. I'm not talking about that. Never mind. Okay.
What?
No, it's like you're like announcing this like out to the Ethernet.
Yeah.
And so anybody.
I announced the boot camp out to the Ethernet.
Oh, yeah.
I was posting flyers on Facebook to sign up for the boot camp.
Right.
So as you can see, this is something that we are working toward. It's not finalized. That's why I'm not saying we're doing it yet. We're going to be introducing it later on. But nonetheless, we're excited about extending this community online into the space that we are, that's new for us. This whole online space, podcast space is new for us. We just been doing it for a year. So we got to.
And this is season 2.
Yes, it's season 2.
You did the last year was season 1. So now season 2, we're starting with this newlywed community.
Right. So we're really focusing on the newly married, not newlywed, because that implies from 1 to 2 years, but newly married.
Oh, newly married. I didn't know it was a difference.
And so we're going to be bringing on some more guests. We have some great guests lined up.
Yeah. We do.
With some great stories. They all been married between 1 to 5 years, and they are not just like young newlyweds. Some of them are in their 30s and 40s. Some of them have been married before. Some of them are blended families that they're bringing their other children to it. So to their marriage. So there's interesting dynamics that we get to explore, because all we're trying to do is just help you all try to transition through this tricky part of your marriage. So that's why the first segment that we're talking about is these tricky transitions. And so we want to jump right into it, unless you have anything else you would like to.
I do not.
Okay. So one of the things that when we were doing research on this, we were like, what should we talk about? Like what topic can we talk about best for dealing with the transitions of relationships? I was like, let me look back in my old blog that I used to write when I was writing for my website and writing for blackandmarriedwithchildren.com. And let me see what I wrote. Let me see what I already wrote.
Yeah,
and
you wrote a lot of things back then.
I have like 100 and maybe 30 articles that I wrote from like 2014 to 2018, 17. So if you want to go to hisleadershiphertrust.com and search under the blogs tab, you'll see like all of my blogs, and you'll see the videos that Bernie and I made. We made a whole rack of videos that we posted on YouTube. Like
those are
years
videos
ago.
we used to do?
Yep.
When we was answering questions and people used to give us questions and we would answer?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I put all those. Those are all on there. So there's like 50 videos on my website, His Leadership Per Trust. So anyway, we were looking for topics, and I put in the topic of transitions. And this article came up that I had written back in 2016. And I read it. I was like, this is a great article. I was like, who wrote this thing? This thing is good. And so I said, let's just go through those points. And I think that would be a good place to start. So the first thing that we want to talk about, the first transition we want to talk about is transitioning your value system. Transitioning your value system. And I wrote, your value system is the collection of your beliefs that you've acquired through the past relationships and life experiences, which you deem beneficial for your security, your well-being, and your happiness. Now, that's important. Your security, your well-being, and your happiness, because security looks like different things to different people.
To everybody.
I did not know. I did not understand when I first got married that women need security. Now, when men think of security like protection, like I'm going to protect. But there's like other areas of security that women have that we did not know about. I did not know about, that men did not know about. And no one told me about it before we got married. Now there's more of like any understanding of the emotional health that people need to have. But there's also the emotional security, the physical security, obviously, the financial security, and the spiritual security. When we first got married, Bernie, what did security mean or look like to you?
Oh, boy.
Because I didn't understand it. Where's my water bottle? Oh, great. I left it in the kitchen. Go ahead. Talk about that while I get my water bottle.
Okay. What security looked like for me? Well, it was a lot of things because I think security, there were so many, it was just, I don't even know how to explain this. I think because of my background, security was like very important to me because I'm like the youngest of 6. And so I have a big family dynamic that made me feel secure being in that family. And then being somebody who moved 3,000 miles away from home, and you're like a single woman on your own out here away from that family. Now that's a whole nother security, whatever. Right. And then like when you're connected to somebody, I have to feel secure to trust you with, I don't know, whatever. So when we first got married, I think security for me looked like security to trust the person, security to know that the person, when I say trust, I mean on everything, like cheating, money, financial, you're not going to spend all the money. You can make good decisions. So I feel secure in your leadership and what you're saying makes sense and it don't sound crazy. You know, it's just a whole lot of, it was a lot of, because I come from the wheat barley shelter.
Oh my gosh.
Background where I got to make sure I got wheat, barley, and shelter. So if you coming in and you go to like all the wheat, barley, and shelter is gone, I don't feel secure.
That was one of the differences that we had when we got married about Bernie's wheat, barley, and shelter. She just think about like security, like a house and a roof over your head and food to eat.
The basics. I need to make sure you don't screw up the basics.
Right. And I was always like, okay, we got that. So now let's move. Let's go forward. Like, let's go forward. And she was not really, she didn't really care about that. It's not that you didn't care. That wasn't a priority, wasn't an interest of yours. Yeah,
it's more like, let's move forward, but let's make sure all this right here is stable and we got a whole bunch right here. You know how I like to hold on?
Yeah,
I like to hold on
right
to stuff. Money, just hold on to it instead of like, okay, let's move and now let's go do this big. Oh, wait a minute.
So that was one of the things about financial security that you needed, and we didn't have hardly any money when we first got married.
None.
But you needed financial security in order to feel safe, and that affected your happiness and that affected your well-being. Like when they say well-being, mean like your physical countenance, your physical health. Because you didn't have that, you were stressed. But because I was like, I'm good with robbing Peter to pay Paul. Matter of fact, I know Peter and Paul.
Oh, I remember
Peter and Paul really well. I mean, I got payday loans to pay Peter, and then I didn't get payday loans for real.
No,
but I was able to pay this bill late. It didn't matter to me.
Yeah,
and
see,
so
I'm a rules
I was
person.
able to manage the finances very loosely.
Ugh.
And that did not give Bernie security.
Mm-mm.
And I was like, okay, I need to find a different way to figure this out. But that's just one area of security. The physical security, emotional security. Now, emotional security is so important that I did not understand until later after I got married. But if y'all getting married right now, let me explain to you, especially men, what emotional security how you provide emotional security. Emotional security is understanding what triggers or what influences your wife's emotions or Bernie's emotions. I had to learn, okay, I knew I couldn't control you, but I needed to understand what controlled your emotions so I can control that. So I stopped, like when Bernie would just be up, be down, because she's more emotional than I am. You'd be up, you'd be down. It was like, how do I figure out like how to manage Bernie's emotions? And I realized that's too hard for me to do. I was like, well, what is triggering Bernie's emotions?
And you were getting them all confused because the same face or movement could mean something different or the same.
Yeah, it was because you had this one look on your face, and that meant tired. That meant I'm upset at you. I'm upset at somebody else.
Or something happened at home.
It means about 6 different things.
Or my job. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So that a lot of times it was something that happened at work.
Yeah. And so I had to like decipher like what that meant. And then I knew if I could figure out what that meant, then I knew what she was upset about. And then I knew how to counteract that issue. If it was like something from work, I would just let her talk it out and talk, or let you talk it out and let you talk it through so that you can get that out off of you and you're just not holding it in. Or if it has something to do with me, I would like figure out what it was and we'd have a conversation about it. If it has something to do with somebody else, I just knew what I had to figure out what to do based upon what the issue was that was influencing you. So for me to understand your emotional, I guess, where you were emotionally and then counterbalance that was the security that you needed to know that you can like feel your emotions, and then I would not weaponize that against you or tell you shouldn't feel that way. Because, guys will come up or give you a solution.
Well, that's what you guys are real good at.
Yeah.
When we just want you to listen.
Right. But,
I know you can't help it.
I did not know that you wanted me to listen, because me listening to you was like, you want me to solve this.
Right. I know that's a man thing, because women we just talk and you feel better after you get it off. But I'm not, when I'm talking to my girlfriend, she's not going to say, well, this is what you should do. She'd be like, girl, for real, that happened?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Let me tell you what happened to me.
And I don't understand why.
I know.
But that's the thing. I don't have to understand why. I just have to know that that's what you do.
Right.
And I need to know, okay, how can I control the influences that influence you? And that's what I learned how to do. And so in terms of your security, I know we're talking about valuing your transitioning your value system, but this is, I think, tied to that, because you have to appreciate and value that your wife or your spouse has specific emotions. And if you can't control your spouse, then you need to be able to control the emotions or control the situations that control their emotions or influence their emotions. I'll say that it's not controlling your emotions.
But you really don't want to control your spouse.
No, you don't.
That's going to be problems.
And that's another thing. That's a big problem that happens when you try to. I don't think did I ever try to do that? I don't think I ever tried to control you.
No, you didn't try to control me. But when we very early on, I don't even know if we were married yet, but I could feel you trying to fit me into your world.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah, I was just gonna, here's Heath's world and just plop Bernie in it, and then that's gonna be our world. But that didn't work.
It didn't work because I thought because, in church, they teach you is, wives submit to the husband. And then, you have to be submissive wife, and you're going to find your Boaz, and you're going to, get a family, and then your wife is going to follow you, and you're going to be the leader.
That's what I think of. Coming to America.
And so that's kind of all that we were told. That's not all we were told. That's not true. No. But that was kind of the mindset. And so I was like, okay, now that we're engaged, let me go ahead and start shifting you into my world so you can become accustomed and acclimated. So by the time we get married, you'll fit right in.
I didn't like his world. It's so not me.
Yeah. And so I did not know that. So I was like, she's not moving. She's not submitting. She's not doing what I said. Yeah. But what needed to happen to that point, was I needed to add to my value system your world.
Yeah.
And your perspective of your world and the things that you wanted to do in your world.
Yep.
and add that to my world as well. And then you add my world to yours.
Right. Which I did.
And if you don't come into marriage with the mindset of that, I'm going to share your world and you're going to share my world, and I'm not trying to pull you over to mine and vice versa, then you will avoid the issues that we have of trying to figure out, oh gosh, she's not doing everything I say to do, or she's not liking my friends, or she's not wanting to do some other stuff. And we'll talk about friends later on.
Do men need or have emotional security? Like, did you have that when we first got married? Did you need that from me?
I think emotional security has to do, especially now, emotional security has to do with your woman respecting your manhood.
So that's y'all's emotional security.
Like,
I can see that.
You, as a man, you're supposed to you want to be looked at as someone who is a valued man. Now, I'm not going to say the other word, but somebody who has
the other word.
Yeah, high value. Somebody who has value, and that your wife esteems that value in you. You want to be looked at that way by your wife. And
so that gives the man emotional security because
partially. You also want to be looked at from a sexual standpoint. You want to be looked at from your wife like you are sexually satisfying her.
Really?
Yes.
Well, yeah. How do you do that? Wait a minute, this is going down a whole nother road.
I'm telling you, you're talking about emotional security
for a man.
Right.
Okay, so, let me listen.
So you want to be looked at somebody who has some value, somebody who has some sexual acumen, someone who is looked at from your wife with respect.
Yes.
And treated that way. So when you are not looked at that way, in those three ways, you're not looked at as somebody who is sexually pleasing his wife. And your wife makes you feel that way.
Okay.
And if you're not looked at as somebody who has value, like you're not a valued person to her, and if you're not looked at by your wife as somebody who is somebody that's providing some kind of security to her, and she treats you that way, that is the emotional, I guess, degradation that men feel.
I can see that.
That was a good question.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because it's always like we always think about emotions with women, but we're all human and everybody has emotions. And so we never really talk about the need of the emotions for a man.
Right.
And I think that lacks in society today. I think they just walk. That's why a lot of them. Never mind. I was going to say never mind. I'm going to stay positive. But yeah, that's why I wanted to know. So that was good.
Yeah, there's a lot of unspoken. Now it's being more so spoken, but there's a lot of unspoken desires and needs that men have, and the valuation that they want to be perceived as. And when the women makes them not feel that way, it hurts them emotionally, and they react either angrily, physically, or they overemphasize what their strengths already are. And the woman is like, I don't need that though. I need you to do these other things.
Mm. Yeah.
Good point. What other transitions? We didn't even go through our points yet. Good gracious.
Sorry.
You must also value what your mate's belief is. Oh, I already read that. You must also value what your mate's belief is beneficial for their security, well-being, and happiness. Oh, I talked about that. This is the most important transition because it has to do with their beliefs. I talk about in my book, His Leadership, Her Trust, the subconscious side of your brain and the activity that goes on there, and then the conscious side of your brain and the activity that goes on there. The subconscious side of your brain is where your beliefs and your value systems reside, meaning there are things that you have grown to learn over through the years, you've experienced over through the years, and then you don't think about them because they are part of you intrinsically. They're part of who you are.
Yes.
And so when you're talking about making sure you transition your beliefs, you have to add to, that's what I talk about, adding to my value system or my subconscious things that I don't even think about anymore, the things that you do naturally that you don't think about anymore.
Right.
But I
It's
have
just
to
a part of me.
consciously add them to me. So it's kind of like when you were like, I had to add to my understanding that you don't want to go out on the weekends every weekend, because going out on the weekends every weekend was something that I just did that was who I was.
And I don't necessarily want to shut everything down.
What do you mean?
I like to go for a few hours and then leave.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the last person that we can actually help the cleanup crew, because we're always the last one there. That just wasn't something. Well, I was just a homebody anyway. So.
Yeah. And so I had to add that to my belief system that would, and I had to add it in such a way that it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And that was critical, because that was a little struggle for us, because
you
did not like me wanting to go out.
I thought something was wrong with you.
And I did not like you wanting to stay in.
But it's funny because when we were just friends and you was always out and I was always home.
And I would come to your house.
Right.
So
you
I
always
was
calling
out
me,
at
what
your
you
house,
doing? Nothing.
and
I'm at
you were
home.
home. So, but now when we live together, it's like, let's go out. No, I want to stay home.
Right. So funny.
This is a good point. If you don't believe the things your mate values are also important, then you won't care what they feel, think, or say or do. It sounds cold, but you really won't, because your opinions have no value, or because their opinions have no value to you. Even if you compromise and do what they want, you'll never truly believe what they want has any value. And as that's confusing to your mate, because you're saying to them that you love them, but your love feels like disrespect and inconsideration.
Yeah, people don't feel seen when you don't value their beliefs, because you're like negating that whole person's complete upbringing, lifestyle, everything about them.
Yeah,
you're negating it. I don't think they know the effect that it's having, because it seems like a small thing, but it's really huge.
Yeah. We've known several couples that we have tried to help them understand that you have to value your mate's opinions. I remember one couple we were talking to, and several couples we were talking to.
There's several.
And because we recognize, we've been through this, and we understand the value, what needs to be valued, and what non-value looks like when you're not valued.
You can see it when it's
because
happening.
This is not really a known thing to most people, and they don't cover this in premarital counseling.
Oh my gosh, they don't.
And they don't cover it. We covered it in ours, but they don't cover it in theirs. That when they don't value somebody, and they are ignoring the things that the person says is their opinion, but they just ignore it, then that person feels like, okay, this person's not listening to me, and then they just shut down, or they'll just like, okay, they'll stop talking about it, they won't argue their point anymore. They'll just say it and then move on and just go do what they want anyway.
Or exactly that, and they don't value it in another way, as to say, well, you shouldn't feel that way, and so they don't accept so that's like, but you're feeling away. How come I can't feel away?
Yeah,
it's like, And
another thing they do, we've seen, is they say, I don't understand, therefore it's not a valid point.
Right. That's really bad.
Yeah. When they don't understand it, or if they say it doesn't make sense.
Oh my gosh. That's the one that goes along with you shouldn't feel that way because it don't make sense.
That doesn't make sense. So you shouldn't feel that way.
Yeah.
When that causes big problems. So that's why you have to add to your value system the other person's perspective on things, even if you don't understand.
It's accepting who they are.
Yeah.
You have to accept. When we talk about values, I always talk about accepting who the person is.
I think that is more of a problem in marriages than communication.
Yeah.
Especially new marriages.
Because how can you talk if you haven't accept who's in front of you? You're constantly trying to change it, and there's something wrong with it. And I don't even want to talk about that. First of all, I need to just fix all the problems. No,
Right.
you need to just accept what's in front of you,
Right.
because that's what you said I do too.
I was talking to someone and I asked them, I said, do you actually care what your wife's position is on this issue? And he was like, yeah, but at the end of the day,
There's
I'm
the
gonna do
Oh.
what I feel like I need to do. I said, then you don't care that what her position is. Because
Right, it's not taking
if she's telling you that this is how she feels, and you're saying, yeah, but, and then you're going to do what you are going to do anyway, then you don't care. He's like, oh, I mean, I do care. I said, okay, does that care translate into you actually considering what she wants and then doing what she wants? No, it doesn't. Okay. Then it feels to her like you don't care.
See, and what women would like to feel is, even if your final decision is going to be your decision,
Yeah.
if we realize that you took what we said and actually tried to understand it, talked about it, maybe, tried to add it or whatever to, there was some thought in like, oh, okay, maybe we'll add this little piece or we'll do this, but your final decision is going to be the decision, whatever. We just need to know that we were heard, that you heard what I said and you thought about it.
Exactly. And it's
as
not
opposed to just ignoring.
And it's not that the man or the woman, I'm not putting it on the man like he's the one telling her what to do, but I'm for both people. It's not that you have to do what your spouse says. It's that, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I need to know that you're rejecting what you understand I'm saying, and not that you're just not listening to me and you don't care. Because that hurts sometimes even more. I've seen spouses break down in tears because you don't understand what the person is saying, and you don't care to understand.
Yeah.
You're just saying no.
Yeah,
it's like, you just like, you don't.
I mean, I'm not too.
And she was saying, even if you don't agree with me,
right,
at least understand what I'm saying,
right.
But you don't even really care to understand.
That stance is like for a child. I said no. Hello, I'm a grown woman. What?
Exactly.
That's the child's stance.
And if it happens in one area of your marriage, then it happens in multiple areas of the marriage, because that's who you are as a person. That's your belief system. That's your value system.
Yeah.
So whether you value your person's opinion, your spouse's opinion or not, and this is the same thing with men. Women who feel a certain type of way, they're just going to do or say whatever it is they want to do or say, regardless of what their husband says. I don't want to make it seem like we're bashing men here.
Yeah, no, there's some controlling women out there too. Things have to be their way and they're not listening or letting the man lead, or there's a lot of them out there too. So
if you are if you're not valuing your mate's opinion and you want to work on that, then begin to add to your belief system your mate's value system, and learn what it is and add that to your value system, because then you'll start to respect and appreciate your mate a little bit more. Yeah, because when you add it, or not add it, but we understand that you understood what we said and you thought about it, and then you go on to make the final decision, in our minds, we're going to be like, should have did what I said when it don't go right. Yeah, you've done that. You've said that before. If this was beneficial to you, please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so, and give a comment. Leave a comment in the comments what your thoughts are, if you've been accepted, or if you've had issues with securities, or how you're struggling with it, or how you're dealing with it. Give some success stories so people can read some of the things that you've gone through and have worked your way through, or are working your way through. Right. Okay, let's go to number 2. That was a long one. I know, we got to speed this up. Second is transition your mind. Oh, that's major. Transition your mind. This kind of goes part and parcel with transition your belief system. Yeah. Because remember I talked about how on the conscious side and the subconscious side is the belief system and your value system, but the conscious side is your mind. That's how you think and how you plan. Really, it's like how you plan. When I was doing research for my book, there was a research study that I found that said there's a certain part of your brain that stores the commands that you're going to do before you do them. Like there's a part of your brain that says, okay, if this happens, then this is going to be my reaction to it, or this is what I'm going to do. And so there's a part that stores the plans. And then when it's time for you to actually do it, then that goes from the part of your brain that stores that plans to the part of the brain that tells your body what to do and execute and gives you words to say and hands to move and so forth. Even if you are subconsciously not even thinking about it. But it's like in the book, I gave an example, like if you have a child and you hear the child scream,
that
scream,
mama's coming.
It's like you naturally know, get up and run toward that baby.
Right.
And you don't have to like, okay, now what should I think about doing? Let me move and let me get up and walk over to the baby calmly. No, there's a natural reaction, but that plan is already there. And so when it comes to transitioning your mind, you have to transition your mind that you are a married man or woman, and this is how you do things. You have to move from this is how I do things to how are we going to do things. Yeah. And so that's a different mindset. That's a bunch of different things you have to add to your mind. Okay, how are we going to do things? I know you have plans of things that you already think that you're going to do, but you need to recalibrate those to transition into adding, okay, let me add to what it is I already have in my plans to do, what we should do, like how are we going to do this? So that means you need to talk about like, okay, if this happens, like what are we going to do? Or what do you want to do if this happens? Like we talked about in the beginning today about the dinners that we want to have.
Oh, right.
And so we've talked about that. I've talked about it with you based upon what is in my head and what I plan, because I already see how it's going to happen. But I haven't talked sufficiently to you about it and how that's going to happen and when that's going to happen and what we're going to do. And so it's like I have to add to the plan that I already have your input. And that's the planning stage. So that's me transitioning my plan into what it is that we are going to do. Right. I know how I'm going to do it. Now I have to figure out how we're going to do it.
Exactly. Because in my mind, just a whole bunch of concerns fly up.
Absolutely.
Immediately.
And there are probably some concerns that I haven't thought about, even though I'm a good planner and I think about a lot of things. And since we've been married 26 years, I know your concerns, and I already add in the plan the concerns that you have. Yeah. But you have to add that to your plan. So what did I say next? Oh, go ahead.
These are things you don't normally have to do when you stay single. Yeah. You just move what you want to do something. Just move with your plan. Yeah. Just do what you want to do.
If you're single, you do what you don't have no plans. You don't have to consider anybody else's plan. Actually, sometimes you do, but you don't have to.
Yeah, but you do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said transitioning your mind is the second most important. It's second most important because if you don't transition your mind, your spouse will also feel like you're being selfish, disrespectful, and unconcerned. Then they'll naturally resort to self-preservation mode to protect their emotions, financial, physical security, and well-being.
Yeah, because self-preservation mode means, now I'm going to do what I'm going to do too. So now you just both on different channels.
And self-preservation mode means I need to protect myself from you.
That's so sad.
I need to protect myself from you because you are a threat.
That's sad.
To my physical safety, my emotional safety, my financial safety, and my well-being and my happiness. So I got to protect myself from you, newly married husband, wife.
That's so terrible.
And that be happening though.
It does.
That be happening like in month one.
Especially at the beginning. You do feel like you got to protect yourself if the mindset has not been transitioned. Yeah. Yeah. Because, I mean, you even have to if the mindset is not transitioned from single to married, or, you almost have to protect yourself like in public settings.
What do you mean?
Because they might do something embarrassing. Yeah. And you're supposed to be married. It's like, might come out of their mouth, or they might do some gesture you shouldn't be. I mean, there's so many things when you don't switch that mind and you're walking around like it's. I used to see a lot of people when we first got married. Not when we first got married. Let me see. No, they just got married. I think we were already married. And I saw, because we used to work, well, maybe I shouldn't say, it's just an environment, and people would get married where certain place where we worked, and people got married after the fact, and nothing changed in how they interacted with people. It just nothing changed. And I was like, you probably should have not be doing that anymore.
Right.
So I was just thinking about that.
Yeah. Your priority of transition should be your spouse first, your marriage second, and then yourself third. That is countercultural to how people be like today. People be trying to emphasize self-care and self-help and personal growth and stuff like that.
Oh.
They're trying to prioritize that, which is a priority. But the priority of that, when you're married, has its order now. You know, you have to make sure, if you want to have a happy, loving, successful marriage, you have to prioritize your spouse first, your marriage second, and then yourself third. And period. Anything else about transition in your mind?
Yeah, but if you are if both parties are putting their spouse first, then the marriage second, then the self-care shouldn't be as daunting.
What do you mean?
I feel like, it depends on what's going on. If somebody's not putting the spouse first and the marriage second, then there's a whole lot of self-care that the person's trying to do at the end to themselves because they're not getting it from the spouse.
Yeah.
And then the marriage is not happening.
Yeah.
So they're down here in self-preservation mode, trying to do self-care for themselves.
Yeah.
Because it's not trickling from the top. Like,
right.
I'm going from spouse marriage to me.
Right.
So now you're in self-preservation mode down here trying to do self-care, survive. What did I did not sign up for this.
Right.
Just a whole lot. But if both parties are putting spouse first at the top and then the marriage second, then the self-care is not, you still could do self-care, but.
One of the couples that when we first got married, and we were kind of mentoring this couple who was engaged, John and Lakeisha.
Why are you mentioning names?
Because they wouldn't mind.
Oh, okay. This must be a good story.
It's a good story.
Okay.
We were mentoring them. And I forgot my point.
I was talking about spouse first, marriage, and then self-care. You don't have to do a lot if it's happening at the top.
Yeah, it was about how they saw. Oh yeah, that's what it was. Thank you. Because he had children already,
right.
And they were getting married, and she didn't have any children.
Right.
And they were young. I think he was in his 30s. She was in her 20s.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Look, I just need you to take care of me. I'm going to take care of you, and I'm going to take care of these kids. And if we do that, we're going to be good."
That's what John said.
Yeah. He was like, "Don't worry about nothing else. Don't worry about having to do anything else. Just take care of me. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to take care of these kids, and we'll be good." And they are a very...
They're good.
John is a very peculiar, interesting person. He's funny as heck.
He is hilarious. And he's a man's man.
Yeah, he's a man's man.
Man.
Big, tall, big. I mean, like 6'3", 4", something like that.
Yeah, he's a man's man.
And so he's like, I forget what anybody else says. I don't care what happened in the previous relationship. You take care of me. I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna take care of the kids. And I think she was trying to like, okay, but what about this? What about that? What about? He's like, don't worry about none of that. Just take care of me.
That's so John.
Look, I don't care what they say.
Right. So John.
And so they did that.
Yeah.
And we would go over there, and they would come over our house in the first years of their marriage and our marriage, because I think they got married like a year or two after us.
Yeah, maybe 2. I think they're right behind us.
So it was like that. Their system works for them. Yeah. And now they've been married, I get 25 years. This is their 25th year, probably.
I think it's going to be 25.
And they got 4 kids.
Yeah.
4 kids. So they're doing well. And the kids are doing really, really well.
Yeah, they're doing great.
But yeah, that was a story that was think of John when I was thinking of John. Okay, Transition number 3, transition your communication. Transition your communication.
That's kind of like what I was talking about.
What do you mean?
When after I saw people were married, that nothing changed.
Yeah.
The way they talked, just didn't change.
What I write? I said transition your communication by creating a system. By creating a system by which to handle discussing sensitive issues. That was one of the things that we used to teach in our premarital class. Like come up with a plan ahead of time for how you were going to talk about sensitive issues.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we did was if one of us had an issue that we wanted to talk about, we would say, I want to set a time aside or schedule some time for us to talk about something. We don't have to talk about it right now, but just like when you become available, let's talk about it. That was like, oh, man.
Dun, 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 dun. I hated when that came. I was like, shoot.
Man, this like, what are we going to talk about? But because you are coming with it, like it's a precursor and you're setting up, like we want to talk about this issue. You're like, okay, it's going to be a sensitive issue. Yeah. And so that also gave space for the person to like have a conversation and for it not to be contentious.
Well, I remember what I used to do is, and that's very true, because what I would do when you would come to me with that, I would set my mindset to immediately, you shut up. Like, let them talk and you just let them get it out or whatever it is. Don't be saying, well, I did that because, well, what? I was just like, so I had time. So what that does is help the person who did not come and say, hey, I need to talk to you about some issue, Right. Get yourself together and mindset so that you're not defensive when they come, and just take it and be able to like receive it. And then, you can just, figure it out later.
I was watching a video last night on, I don't know, some social media platform, and it was talking about how, and this is a valid concern that men be having nowadays. And back then we really weren't aware of it. Mm-hmm. But if a husband has a problem with his wife and he wants to bring the issue to his wife, or if she's done something wrong to him, or if she's done something that makes him feel emotionally unsafe, he'll bring it to her and tell her about it. She will get upset because he brought to her something that made him feel upset. And now she's upset because he made her feel upset.
Well, she's upset about, not at him though, at something else.
Well, she's upset at, like, let's say I told you that you hurt my feelings last week by saying something.
Okay.
And you were like, how'd I hurt your feelings? And now you're upset because I told you I'm upset. And that you made me upset.
That's gaslighting. What the heck is happening?
And so now
I'm the upset one. What are you doing?
So now because I made you upset, because you made me upset, you're upset at me again.
That's crazy.
So it's an entitlement that the man should not be made to feel any certain type of way by what his woman says or does. And if he feels that way, he needs to get over it. Because if he brings it to her, the fact that she hurt him made her upset, and now she's upset at me.
She not gonna reflect on nothing he said about why.
That's what men be saying, and I've heard this multiple times through different shorts of stuff that I've heard
that was an issue out there.
Yeah, and so
I thought maybe older, or more respective. That's not the word I'm looking for.
What are you talking about?
Most women, they're introspective about the things that you're saying I'm doing. Older, maybe mature women, I don't know.
Well, I don't know if that's the case.
But in general, I thought women would be more
introspective.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for.
I don't know. I can't say that they would or they wouldn't. I feel like based upon your own personal maturity or your own sense of entitlement, that to me seems real entitled. Your own sense of entitlement of who he is and who you are, that if you do anything, it can't be wrong and it's not wrong. And the fact that you're telling me that, if I'm the woman, the fact that you're telling me that I'm wrong and made you feel a certain type of way, I question you as a man, why you even feeling that way.
No, that's wrong.
The only reason why I did that is because you did this, right?
Yeah,
and because I did that, and because you did this, and you did this, and it's not a sense of understanding that, okay, you hurt me.
Yeah, see, That's marriage. This is past newlywed. It's marriage 301.
Okay.
Not 101 or 201. It's 301.
Okay.
When you get out of the whole tit for tat thing.
Yeah.
See, that tit for tat thing don't never work. You have to, and that's what's happening, because when you hear the injury, you immediately puff up and
Right.
want to defend or whatever, as opposed to just listen and think about
Right.
and reflect. Well, did I do that? Well, and how about, I don't want him to feel that. That's a whole, see, I'm all the way in 300s. That's a
Yeah.
whole nother.
But you have to grow to that point.
You do have to grow.
And I think there's a lot of emphasis on that now.
Yeah.
But you need to grow to that. You need to grow to that to get to the point where you are more concerned about listening. And that was one of the points, one of the first points I made about seek first to understand, not to be understood. That's something that was told to us when we was in premarital counseling. And that stuck with me to this day. That stuck with me to the point that that is how I approach most of my communication situations in any environment, whether it's work, whether it's with my clients, with our people that we've worked with throughout the years, throughout the decades. I seek first to understand before I try to be understood or let them try to get them to understand what I'm saying. And then, so with you, that's why I'm always like, okay, this is my idea. Let me hear your feedback. Let me hear what you got to say.
Right.
Because if I can understand what your objections are and what your points of view, then I have what your points of view are, then I have a better way of taking that information and tweaking the plan or the process to satisfy that or to address your concern. Even if we agree to do it my way or we don't do what it is you say, at least I understand it and I'm addressing it and I'm addressing the risk that's involved in it for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was the first thing. Seek first to understand, not to be understood, regarding transitioning your communication. Even if you know you're right, ask questions to confirm you're correct instead of assuming you are. Whew, this is a good one. Because I think I'm starting to tell this to men who are married now, when they are not struggling in their marriage, but they are trying to make their marriage better. Especially for newly married couples, if you think that you know your spouse, if you think that you know you're right, even if you like, well, if I say this, then she's going to do this. And if I do that, if you can go down 5-6 steps, like if I do this and she's going to do that, and my counter to that will be that, and then she'll do this. If you know all those things, then assume that you are not correct and ask questions to confirm that you are correct, to make sure that you know what it is that you are talking about. Even if you have confidence that I know she's going to do this, get into the practice of asking questions to confirm that.
Yeah.
And here's why. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
And here's why. Because number one, it's a humbling approach. You are humbling yourself and not thinking yourself too arrogant that you actually know all the things.
Yes.
Even if you know all the things, don't be so arrogant as to think that you are, but humble yourself and approach it like you don't know. Because when your wife or husband changes, or the circumstances that affect their emotions gives them a different feeling about the same situation than they've had before, you won't be responding to them based upon your assumption that what used to be yesterday's price was not today's price.
That's what I was going to say. You should do that, even though if you know you're right, because you are always collecting data.
Yes.
You need this data at all times because you never stop learning your spouse.
Right.
And so you're always collecting data because things change. Just like you said, you go through seasons.
The next is it gives space for your mate to express their perspective. Again, this is the communication. You want to provide a forum for your mate to get everything that they want out of it. And this also goes back to transitioning your mind. And then transitioning your value system. And when they share what it is that they say, you have to value that as, okay, that's a valid point. Even if you disagree, but that's their valid point. Right. And even if you don't understand it, and fellas, hear me, sir, ma'am, even if you don't understand it, you don't have to understand it. You just have to know that that's their point of view. You have to accept it accept it as their data, as their fact, as their story, as their truth, and be like, okay, given that, then this is what we need to do. Don't be like, that doesn't make no sense. That's stupid. I don't agree. So we're not going to do it, or we're not going to address it, or I'm not going to agree to it.
And then she'll be like, should have listened to
self-preservation mode. It gives you confidence in the future to make good decisions. Whew, this is helpful. Yeah. So especially for husbands who are trying to lead, and your leadership is you know how good of a leader you are in terms of being a husband, and your confidence needs to be built up in that, especially as a new husband, that you are doing the right things or you're making the right decisions. And so by you assuming that you don't know and asking follow-up questions to see if you are correct will give you the confidence that, okay, yes, I am making the right decision, or yes, I am reading my signs well. When I was trying to figure out what those facial expressions meant to you, I was like, okay, after a while, I was like, okay, I know what that means. And then I would just ask a question like, is everything okay at work? Or did you so-and-so, did you talk to your mother today? Blah, blah, blah. Or whatever I would know what question to ask. Mm-hmm. And then if I was right, I'd be like, yeah.
Then I'd throw up on you and be like,
yeah,
got it.
That's the downside of it. But I knew I made the right call.
Well, at least you knew it wasn't you.
Yeah. That's the most important thing. And it's not me. So I had to make sure that over time I continued to ask questions, even though I knew the answer, so that I would solidify the confidence that I had that I'm making right decisions. Because, and this is the fourth point, because it also gives your spouse confidence in you that you listen before making a decision. And my decisions are going to be right because I assessed your facial expressions in this example, but assessed your different situations over time. And I know I'm making right decisions. So it gives you confidence and it gives her confidence in your decisions. And that was one of the things that I saw in you, that you believed in me and you believed in the decisions that I made because of the process of how we made decisions.
Yeah. And that probably was greatly needed because your plans and things you want to do are never small. So I need all those little.
And because according to your own testimony,
what?
You didn't trust me until like year 3.
No, well, yeah, that had nothing to do with you though.
I know.
Yeah, I didn't trust you because that was just my background. I was assuming it was all going to come crumbling down. I didn't really know how, but I was just waiting for just whatever to go wrong, because that's usually what happens.
That's your pessimistic side.
Yeah, I do have that. I always go all the way to the left.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that since then. But and I think I've been doing that since I was little.
I'm probably sure.
Yeah, because stuff would always go wrong at home, and then everybody just keep going.
Yeah. So Bernie's more of a pessimist. Bernie's a pessimistic, and I'm an optimistic.
I'm trying to do better. I mean, I'm very aware that, I'm going to go all the way to the left, and I have people, husband and friends, who pull me off the ledge and bring me back to the middle all the time because I'm aware of that. So,
yeah. And I had to say, this is a good point. I don't like that. That is a struggle for me to deal with, but I have to accept that that's who she is.
Perfect example.
And not try to get her to change, even though I be wanting her to change. And I still be trying to get her to change sometimes. But I know it's a hard thing to do. And it's sometimes not going to work. But I understand that that's her pessimistic side. And that's just something I have to live with.
And you know why it's hard to change, or why it doesn't change?
Why?
Because it's a part of my value system.
Yeah.
It's a part of my belief.
Yeah.
So it's something that I've been carrying with me since I was little, which is hard to move them things out.
Even though, contrary to the last 26 years, there's no evidence that you have that anything that we've done or have done has gone left, has taken a turn. There's nothing that you can point to in our marriage ever that was like it's gonna go bad, but yet you still hold on to those beliefs like they are a clear and present danger.
It's my value system from childhood.
I don't like it.
I mean, but the good thing is I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
So when it rises up, I get people like you and my best friends and be like, hey, I don't have cancer. I felt this ping in my back. That doesn't mean I need back surgery, does it? I mean, I have people that help me come off that ledge.
Right. And so how I have added that to my value system begrudgingly is that I deal with and address your concerns as they are, to bring you off the ledge or whatever. Even though it's like, oh my goodness, I don't want to deal with this, but I know that that's who you are. And so it's like, I have to love my wife and like, okay, let me address this. Let me help her navigate through this. And there's a sense of honor that I can do that for you that I have.
But I think it's good that I am aware of it because I don't think it's as bad as it used to be. Because before, when I wasn't even aware that I kind of had that thought pattern. Then you can't change what you don't know. So now that I'm aware, I don't think it's more internal. And I try to, like, even though the thought may come, like, if we're going through a tunnel and there's traffic and I see red lights in a tunnel, in my mind, I see the crack on the wall of water coming through. I am not going to speak that out or say, oh my gosh, well, I don't want to be in this tunnel in this traffic. I just sit quietly and just be like, say a little prayer like, I'm not going to look at the wall because I don't want to see the crack of water coming through. That's where my mind goes. And
I have no understanding of that.
I know. I don't know why.
And
it thinks of the worst thing that can happen.
I don't even try.
This is why I don't like to fly, because my mind is like, I have to plead the blood anywhere, anytime I get on a plane. Don't let it be turbulence. I'm like, oh my God.
I think the balance of that is I understand it, but I also push you through it.
Yeah.
In a loving way. I push you through it, or I'll give you words of comfort. I don't know if they're comfort. I'll give you words of logic.
Well, yeah,
that's what I'll do. That's the best I can do. I can't give
you do like
comfort is hard for me to do in that. Like,
no, you're not
okay.
You're not
logically, I'll take you through.
You're not that kind of guy, like to give. Not to say you don't give comfort, but that's just not your go-to. It's just not in you. No, because you're a man's man too, so you don't have a whole lot of soft sides. Which is, I like that. That's why I like you, because you're not no crayons. So
there's a crayon.
But
example
you
again.
do give logic, and it helps because, like, when we're on a plane and it be going crazy with turbulence, you'll tell me they know they know there's going to be turbulence. They've built this plane for this to happen. It's already pre-planned, and this is normal that this will happen, whatever, as opposed to, all this bumping and stuff, because I feel like climate change has made flying really bad, because I used to could fly, I don't feel nothing. I feel like I'm just sitting in a room. But now it's like every time, and then the bumping is really bad. But
I don't know if that's true, but go ahead.
It's seriously, when I used to fly all the time, when I was in school, had to go back and forth to home, it was nothing. I didn't have this before anyway, I probably had it, but it was okay, because if they're smooth, I don't my mind doesn't go anywhere. But you always
I put my hands in the air because
I know, like he's on a roller coaster.
Ooh, hey, that's fun to me.
But you telling me they planned for this, it's normal. That's what the plane is built to, take the turbulence. And that's logic. And I'd be like, okay, so I might not plead the blood all the way on the trip, just halfway. That helps me, though.
One of the first things I always ask if you fly by yourself, is how was the flight? And I'm asking that because I want to know if it was turbulent, then your stress level is going to be high. even though you're glad to be home and glad to see me,
Whew.
it's like you have to come down from that. So I need to know how was the flight to know how far you need to come down. So I need to know what kind of information I need to share with you based upon plans that I have that I need to share with you. But if your stress level is high, I'm not going to share it at that time.
You're a good husband, because those flights. And sometimes we're like, oh, it's good. I didn't feel nothing. And then
good. So I know you're happy. So I know I can move these topics to the forefront.
Tag.
Yeah. Cause I'm always
Always.
Dag, okay, we gotta hurry up.
Yeah, we only on 3. This might be a part 2. Part 1 and part 2.
Okay, so communication. Okay. Transition your growth. Your growth. Always be learning, always be growing. You said that already.
Yeah. Oh, right. With the data.
Yeah. So this is what you need to do to grow as a couple together. And we did some of it and we did not do some of it. One is find a community. You need to find a community because you cannot grow stupidly. You cannot grow you think you're going to just be the two of you all against the world and then that's it. I mean, that may last when there's conflict and there's stress and it's like, okay, we need to fight against the world, but you need a community around you and a community that you're within in order to normalize relational behavior.
Ooh, that's major.
Where narcissists rise, where narcissism rises is in isolation.
That isolation.
Because that isolation means that my world is the thing that's right.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're around other couples and other people that are like-minded, and that's important.
Yeah.
It allows you to see, oh, y'all go through this too. Oh, y'all go through that too.
It's normal.
Or that's stupid. Why did he do that? I don't even do that.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, that's goals right there. I want to see that. I want to do that. And it allows you to see other dynamics that you want to add to your relationship dynamics.
And that everybody is adjusting.
Right.
This is normal that you're going to be adjusting through these first few years.
Yeah.
And that normalizes that, as opposed to like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this was marriage. No, this is marriage.
Yeah.
And everybody is adjusting.
Yeah.
So it's not
you're going to not
normal.
like your spouse.
Yeah. You're not like
and then you're going to
things.
like them again.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you're going to not like them. And then you're going to like them again. It's not that, God wouldn't make this too difficult. This must not be right.
Right.
Shut up, stupid. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that.
Right. And that's one of the things we organically had when a community. It was organically because there was a few of us that got like married, around the same time before, 1 or 2 or 3 years. Even the Hannahs, they're like right before us. They're like in January. That's right. And then because they're 27 years.
They celebrated the anniversary.
Yeah, 27 years for them. And then like we're October.
Damn, we made 27 years this year?
Hannah, yeah, we are.
Gosh.
But it's like the group of that organically we're around. We're all within 20, within those 20 years together.
Right. Right. Yeah. So you need a community. You can't grow stupidly. Find a mentor. It's number 2, find a mentor couple or accountability couple. And you need a mentor couple is one thing and an accountability couple is another. And I differentiated it. Let me explain.
Okay.
A mentor couple is what we had. We had the Redmonds as our mentor couple.
They weren't our accountability couple?
We called them our accountability. We called them our accountability couple because that's what they called. That's what they were called.
Okay.
And so we are the mentor couple for our group.
The young adult group.
Yeah, the group the people. And mentor couple for a lot of people who are not within that group, but that people who come to us and ask us questions, stuff like that. Right. So you need somebody that you can go to. Like I've had a single person come up to me last Sunday and he was sharing with me an issue that he was having with his girlfriend, and they're in a new relationship. So you need somebody as in a mentor status like that. Mm-hmm. But you need an accountability couple because when you are going through a distress situation and there's conflict or there's something that you are going through and you need help with. You need somebody that has the wisdom, the experience, and the calmness and the discretion and the fairness to adjudicate that issue fairly and then tell you all this is what you need to do and that you will listen to.
Right.
And that may be different from the mentor couple because the mentor couple, you may not be that close to them or you may not want to put all your business out there in front of them.
Yeah.
So it's good to have both.
Yeah. I think They were both to us.
Yeah,
kinda.
the Redmonds. What's the,
Oh, okay.
the
I didn't know
Redmonds,
we
cool.
could say they were both to us. I think
They were, and it's good if you can have that one in combined, but I'm not limiting it to that anymore because there are certain people that I know that are good mentor couples, but not necessarily accountability couples. They would not qualify because they just don't, their perspective on things I won't necessarily agree with. And if you go with them, like one of the couples we know got premarital counseling from an accountability couple, but the counselor that they told us they got, I didn't necessarily agree with, and it did not help them. And then when they came to me, I was talking to him on the phone one-on-one about a situation he was going through with his wife. And he talked to me, and I shared with him a different perspective. He was like, out of all the people that I talked to, you're the only one that gave me something that made sense for me to do that I actually can do. Because I think some of the other couples were giving them advice about what you should do in the perfect situation.
Oh, but the situation ain't never perfect.
The situation wasn't perfect. And
it never is.
You know, where he was in his mind and his heart.
Yeah.
He was looking at the back door. And I was like, well, I mean, I understand the back door. You're looking at the back door. But before you go out the back door, let's do these things.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, I can try that. Juxtaposed to what others were telling them, that you shouldn't do that. You know, never say divorce. Not never say divorce. What's the phrase people be using? Divorce is not an option.
Oh yeah, divorce. Yeah.
Divorce is not an option, which we believe that, but I can't tell this man that when he's going through what he's going through. So I said, well, let's leave divorce on the table and let's talk about what you would need to do before you do that. Do these things. And they're still married to this day. So that was helpful, what I was able to share with him. Read books and go to marriage workshops. I think that's another point about you can't grow stupidly. You have to get education about your marriage and about yourself and about your spouse and just about marriage and the institution of marriage and all of that. You have to get education about that. So read books about it. Go to workshops.
We used to go to those. I still do conferences and.
I just talked to somebody
they
recently.
Still
they just went to one.
I didn't know they still had them things.
I was kind of like, y'all still go to that? I mean, they still do that kind of stuff? I didn't even know. We're not even in that circle anymore.
I know. We used to go to those all the time.
Yeah. And then last is lean into who you need to become rather than what you need to do. Whew, this is a good one.
Lean into what you need to become
rather than what you need to do. If you try to ask your spouse, what do you want me to do to make you happy? What do you want me to do so I can, be this person for you? Then your spouse will tell you what it is that they want you to do, and then you will do it. But if it's not who you are, it's not sustainable.
Right.
If you're not this type of person, then you can do the activity, but it's not who you are. So what you need to transition into, the growth is becoming the person who you need to be that can do those things, because then your spouse won't have to tell you to do them. It will become a natural part of who you are.
Takes the struggle away.
It takes the struggle away.
It takes it away, because we definitely had to do that. Just lean into, I can't be Bernadette Walls. I have to be Bernadette Wiggins. And that makes my life easier with you.
I was talking to a young man last week, and he was talking about his girlfriend that he was having an issue with. She was upset because he did not do something that she thought a man should do. I think it was like, let's say, I'm not going to say exactly what it was. Let's say he did not pay for dinner when they were out. No, that's too.
He didn't wash her car.
No, I don't want to use that. That's old school.
Sorry.
I'll just say that he did not pay for dinner. He did not pay for her dinner. What?
Nothing.
And because he did not pay for her dinner, she felt a certain type of way about that. And she was kind of had an attitude about it. So when I talked to him about that, he said, I'm trying to put the right story with the right context. He said that I didn't think to do that. I thought about it, but I really didn't think to do it. I didn't know if I should or shouldn't. I shouldn't do it. I said, who are you to her? Are you like, do you not care about her? Is she not this person? Is she just one of many? Do you not really care if she does this or that to you, or you do this or that for her? He was like, no, I care about her. I want to be with her. I was like, okay, so if you are with her, then you need to become aware and take the initiative to do things or be the person that is a provider, or be the person that is somebody who is considerate of her. And so he was like, well, yeah, it's not that I would not have done it. I didn't mind doing it. I wouldn't mind doing this thing, but I just didn't think about it at the time. I said, okay, so instead of her telling you that you need to pay for the check, be the person that when y'all go out, you pay for the check.
That's what you do.
Become that person. Transition your mind into being that person. So when you go out, it's not something that you have to remember. It's something that who you are. So this is going to be naturally, it's going to flow from you.
Yeah. And I'm just old school, because I'm thinking if you I feel like most men, if they are looked at, or if they're looking at that person that way, that will naturally happen. But it won't if they don't know who they are as a person. Like, that's who I am as a man.
Yeah.
It won't naturally, because
that's a good point. That's a really good point,
I think
Bernie.
they would naturally do that because, I know men are very intentional when they want to be with whoever they want to be with. So they're going to be doing those things. But it's not, if that is not who they are as a person, they don't even know to even do that.
Right.
Because I think, well, I don't want to say
they don't know, based upon the woman they're with, what that woman expects a man to do if that's not something that they naturally would do. Like if she expected him to pay for dinner, but he doesn't naturally pay for dinner, even if he is intentional in doing things for her, he won't know that, oh, she expects me to pay for dinner. And so he'd be like,
right,
I'm intentional towards you, but I just don't know that's something I should do.
Right.
Or like, to use your example, holding the door. Like if you walk up to a door and you always stand to the side, if a man does not think I should be opening the door for women because that's not in his background, that's not a part of his value system, that's not something he's ever seen a man do, believes a man should do, or thinks is common, then he won't know that that's something that she expects. And she'll look at him in a devaluing type of way and be upset that he doesn't do it, especially if they're like, let's say they're out in public and everybody else is holding the door. I remember we went on a trip with some friends and we all met I think we all parked at the same time. Mm-hmm. And we parked at the same time. So we caught the same shuttle bus to the airport from the parking lot.
Okay.
And we put the bags on the shuttle bus. And when it came time to get off the shuttle bus at the airport, I got my bag and then I got your bag. And then I got off the shuttle bus. Like I put my bag down and went back on, got your bag, got off the shuttle bus and put it down on the ground. And then you grabbed your bag and started to walk away. Another husband, he got his bag and put on the ground and started walking away. And his wife was behind me. And so he saw me turn around and go back and get your bag. He was like, oh. And he like stopped and went back and got his wife's bag.
Oh, Lord.
And that was before we went on the trip. And so I saw her look of low key. It's my mom again. I'll call her back.
Hi, Mama.
I saw her look of low key embarrassment, but trying to play it off so that she didn't look embarrassed, but try to look like this was natural, but was like, I can't believe you'd embarrass me like that. On her face when I was getting your bag.
Oh.
And then he came back and got her bag. So I didn't have any eye contact with them anymore for that whole,
that's
experience.
That's just not who he is. That's not what he does.
Yeah, it's not. It's not what he does. And I mean, he's my age. So it was from the same generation.
Yeah.
But it's just not who he does. So when he saw it, he's like, oh, I got to do this.
That's why you need to become that person,
Right.
because it would be something you don't even have to think about. This is just what I do.
It's what I do.
Yeah.
So that's a good point.
If you like these comments, please like and subscribe. I was going to say describe. Please like and subscribe to our website. No.
To this episode.
To the episode.
Podcast.
I feel like strong.
Subscribe to the channel if this is helpful to you.
I feel like strong.
Click that subscribe button. Click that like button and so forth. Okay, number 5.
Oh my goodness. We got to keep moving.
You have to transition your external relationships.
Ooh.
You have to, and one of the things that was significant for us, which we talked about already, in most relationships, I know that there's someone who's a social butterfly and then the other person who is a social caterpillar. But you have to expect that your life is not going to be social butterfly to the degree that was before you got married. And your life is not going to be social caterpillar to the degree before you got married. And so people understand that.
Yeah.
And so I'll move on to the next point. There's 3 different types of external relationships that you have now. Because you have your internal relationship, which is you and your spouse. You have your external relationships, which has become now your parents and your siblings, and your aunties and uncles. They are now external, even though you may be really, really tight with them, really, really close with them, even though you may rely on them for safety if you feel like you are in an unsafe situation in your marriage. And I'm not talking about abusiveness or anything like that. But if you y'all are beefing and you can talk to your mom or talk to your sister about your marital situation, which you shouldn't do. But if you do it anyway, and they're your safe space, and then you go back home and deal with your spouse, you talk to your brother or whatever, they are still external to your family now. And then you have the next circle is your friends and associates, including work people who you describe your friends, your boys, even if they're really, really close, they are a different circle. Right. And then you have the outside circle, which I call threats. Anybody that's a threat to your marriage, the peace, the safety, the happiness, the well-being, if they are a threat to your marriage, that includes ex relationships, that includes baby mamas, baby daddies, that includes parents of baby mamas, baby daddies. All those people are threats.
Or some in-laws could be a threat.
True, in-laws.
Not mine.
No, why would you even say that?
I'm just making sure.
Oh, okay.
Because I mentioned it. I don't want nobody to think.
Okay, that's true.
No, not mine.
That's so not true. That's why I was like, why are you saying that? Of course it's not yours.
Right. I have to make that plain.
Right.
But, some in-laws could be a threat to marriage at some time.
You have to transition those relationships. Mm-hmm. And you need to transition those relationships in discussion before you get married. And you need to execute that transition after you get married. And you need to do it immediately after you get married, because that's when they are most willing to let you have your honeymoon phase. You understand what I mean?
Yep.
Because it has to be a clear delineation and distinction that this is what I'm doing, because if you don't, then they're going to pick up right where they left off, and then there's going to be conflict.
That's what I was going to say. And you need that sets the standard about your marriage. This, it makes a clear line for everybody. No, this is us over here, and this is, y'all over there. We still family, but now I got my own family, and I can't, it can't be all up in my stuff. Right.
Even if you are having some kind of stress or something like that, you need to set those parameters and those boundaries. And that's when if you're going through a distress, let's say you get married off the jump, and y'all are beefing off the jump from the honeymoon until month 1 to year 1, 2, straight beef. You need to establish. Well, first let me go back. You need to establish those different. The reason why you need to establish those different circles is because you need to have rules and what do they call them? Rules of engagement. Rules of engagement for each one of those circles. And in terms of how much time you spend with them, how much information you share with them, and how open you are with them to your spouse and so forth. You need to discuss all that ahead of time. And it needs to have those 3 different rules of engagements for the parents and your brothers and sisters, for your friends and your associates, and for those threats.
Yeah.
And the reason why you need to do that is because when you are, if you're going through a distress period from the beginning, then you need to rely on that accountability couple, your circle.
I was going to mention that because you got to talk to somebody.
Yeah, your circle, or the other people that you know, a counselor if you have to get one, your church counselor if you have to get one. You need other people other than those external relationships.
Because those people gonna feel some kind of way when you liking the person.
Exactly.
I know y'all hear this all the time.
All the time.
We don't get over what you tell us.
No.
We still don't like them.
Never.
We never like them.
They'll tolerate
so
them during
don't
the family
tell us.
picnic.
Right. We'll
during
tolerate it.
Christmas.
Right.
Right.
But we're talking about them behind.
You're back.
And we're wondering why you're still there. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No, we are.
Yeah, we really
Like,
are.
why are you still there? Like, oh, they must be good now, but she gonna mess up again, or he gonna mess up again. But you don't share that type of information. And I'm not even talking about what you share and what you don't share. What the point that we're making is you need to have a conversation about what that is before you get married, so that when it's time, when y'all get married, you execute that. You execute that. So let's say if you're already married and you haven't done that, then you need to begin the process of rolling back the level of disclosure that you have. You need to, first of all, you need to talk about what that should be, if you haven't done so yet. But if you have done it and you don't know how to do it, what you do is I call it rolling disclosure. You start rolling back the level of information that you share with other people. And you can even say, I'm gonna stop talking about my marriage because this way, because I need to start talking about my marriage because I'm trying to work on my marriage. Just use a quote, I'm working on my marriage.
Yeah.
Everybody understands what that means, but nobody understands what that means. When you say I'm working on my marriage, it's so vague and it's so specific, and no one's going to ask you specifically. And if they do, then you'd be like, I'd rather not talk about it. We're just going to be working on some things. I'm trying to work on myself personally. We're working on a marriage.
See, because it's
mind the business.
It's unfair, especially to the family and to the spouse, because we're only getting one side of the story.
Right.
And we always going to take our family side, whatever. But I'm sure he got some stuff because we know you too. So I know he got some stuff.
Yeah.
But I wanted to clear up something when I was saying, because when you do that, your family's never gonna like the person. We're not gonna like it, and we'll be talking about it,
Right.
and then be wondering why you're still there. But I wanted to clear up because we were saying divorce is not an option, but divorce isn't until it is.
That's right.
Sometimes.
That's right.
I wanted to just clear that up.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there's things that happen that
Absolutely.
I mean, you might need to go because you got all kinds of narcissistic things happening. You could be in danger.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I mean, there are some people that got divorced, and I understand why.
So do I.
Oh yeah. I mean, okay. And I mean, Jesus even said, this is not meant for everybody.
He hates divorce. He said that.
He said marriages in Ephesians. Matthew chapter 19. If you want to read it, Matthew chapter 19, when the Pharisees came up to him and questioned him about should a man get divorced, and he talked about how this word is not for everyone, but Moses allowed signed certificates of divorce because people's hearts were hardened. So if your heart is hardened, that's the reason why Moses signed certificate of divorce. He said it was not supposed to be this way.
Yeah.
But each person has to do, I don't want to misquote what Jesus said. Yeah. But basically he was saying it's not for everybody, but Moses signed divorce because people's hearts were hardened. So if your heart is hardened, and that's what I told that young man who I was talking to, who was in a situation. I was like, if your heart is hardened and you cannot see a way that it will ever be softened, then I can't say that you shouldn't get a divorce. But if it's not hardened, then here's the thing I think you should do. And he was like, well, no, I wouldn't say my heart is hardened. I think I set it up to ask him is your heart hardened? Do you have a hardened heart? And he was like, no, I don't have a hardened heart. I said, okay, well, then before your heart hardens, let's see if we can do these things. Anyway. Right. But yeah, you need to, what were we talking about?
The circles of external relationships. There's a statement in there that says, discuss how the two of you will interact with friends, family, church, frats, sorors, etc.
Yeah.
That is a discussion you probably need to have.
And that's that discussion you need to have before you get married. Oh, I was going into, let's say you're already married and you haven't done this. Then you start that rolling disclosure of telling people, I'm a pull back. And then diving into who you need to be, which is having a community of people around you that normalize marital behavior, have a mentor couple and an accountability couple if they're separate. But if you can get them in one, that's fine. Yeah. It's probably better to have more than one, and then dive into that. And that will put all the support around you that you need to grow your marriage.
Sure it up. Yep.
Number 6, transition your money. Ooh. Transition your money. We're going to talk a lot about this later on in another episode when we specifically talk about money. Yeah. But people ask the question, should you put money in one pot or should you like have bills separately? I don't care, because where your money is not going to make your marriage better or worse. And how you manage your finances or how, whether you're in one pot or separate, that's not going to be a determining factor whether you stay married or you get divorced. What is a determining factor is your value of money. Your value of money. We talked about value already, your value system already. And so I was asking you questions the other day. Do you make money? Do you like to make money, or do you like to, do you make money to save it, or do you make money to spend it?
I make money to save it. I want to save until I get more and more and more.
I make money to spend it.
Yes.
Because I save some, but I spend the rest.
I want to save it all.
No.
Until it gets big and big and bigger.
Do you, is money used as a weapon or as a shield?
Mine is a shield.
Mine is used as a shield with a long spear attached to it.
Mine is a shield because of wheat barley shelter.
Wheat barley.
What I say?
Wheat Bailey shelter.
Thinking of Bailey's. No, wheat barley shelter. So of course mine is a shield.
And I asked that question because I think about the current administration, Trump and them, how they use money as a spear. They use it as a means to seize power, gain power, and punish people who they deem needs to be punished. And some people value money that way. They value it as an attack, as a means to attack and to control and to gain power. And that value system, you need to know who you're married to. First of all, you need to know if that's you.
Yeah.
And you need to know who you're married to. Because if they value money that way, then they're going to move differently than you.
Yeah, because if it's a shield, it's more of a security, safety,
right?
Protect. I might need it, so I got a big old batch over there if something happens.
Right.
That, I'm always.
And people don't talk about this in premarital class. No, they don't talk about the valuation of money.
Finances, but not the valuation.
Yeah. And so that's why I'm introducing these topics for you all to consider, because you need to understand how you value it. Is it a spear? Do you use it as a way to attain power or to execute things that you want to do? That's kind of how I approach it. I'm like, okay, what do I want to do? I need money to do it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And
you look like
I just want to hold it because I might need it, and I need wheat barley shelter. But it has a lot to do with your upbringing.
It does. It's your value system. That's your value system.
It has a lot.
Do you use money to acquire things or to maintain things? Definitely acquire things for me. Do you make money to live or live to make money?
What did I say? Wait, do you make money to live or live to make money?
You make money to live.
Yeah, I make money to live. Yeah, you live to make money.
No, I don't live to make money. I make money to live.
Make money to live. Yeah.
But people
What's live to make money?
Well, some people who see the making of money to use that money for power or to attain things, then they live to make money. They're always like workaholics.
Oh, no.
They live to like make money, and it's always about the bag. I'm trying to get the bag. I'm trying to get the bag.
No. That's not.
Those are the value systems of money that you need to understand about you. And when we talk about transitioning your money, you have to find a way that the two of those value systems can live in the same financial pot. Because sometimes if you have such stark differences, then it's probably best for you to keep your money separate. Because let's say you want to maintain and I want to spend, then let you maintain and then let me spend, and we'll figure out how the bills can get paid together.
I feel some couples have that, like they have different. They have their own accounts and then they have a joint account, but they still have their own little separate accounts where their money go, and then they put money into this pot where they do the bills, whatever, and that works for them. Because when they tried to put it all together, that didn't work. And
knowing this will cause you to condense the arguments that you have about money to a understanding that, okay, given that's who you are and this is who I am, and how we begin to, like we talked about earlier, embrace your value system in mine and you embrace my value system in yours, it helps understanding, and it helps you, the other person, see, okay, I'm not going to go so, if I'm the spear, if I'm using money as a spear, I'm not going to go so hard as to try to throw this joint like a javelin and plunge everything that I got into this investment that I have, this business opportunity that I have, because I know you want to save, you want to maintain, and we're not going to save as much money as you want to feel comfortable, because I know Heath wants to invest in this thing over here. So that's how you kind of manage the two. It's going to be some conflict about how you get there, but if your mindset, if your transition to the mindset is, okay, where are we? So how can we, find the happy medium place?
Yeah, in the middle.
And where you go wrong is when you try to pull that person 100% over to your side and chastise them for having the value system that they have.
Yeah.
And it's just wrong. It's just wrong because you don't want them to do it to you. Because it's so unrealistic for me to pull you so far on to my side that we're just going hard, pause, to do all these things.
I can't even think that way.
Yeah.
Like the way the way the other side, the way you think of money, that just not even, it's like I accept that that's how you value money and how you move with it, because it doesn't
make sense to you.
No, I just have to accept that that's how you spend it, because it makes sense. It makes sense for me to just keep piling up. And when I need it, I'll pull some out. But keep piling it up. I need a little bit, I'm going to pull it.
So we just had a conversation 2 days ago.
Yeah.
It was yesterday. Was it yesterday?
I don't know.
No, it was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
What's today? Saturday?
Today's Saturday. Yeah.
We just had a conversation 2 days ago. It was 2 days ago about money. Since it's the beginning of the year, we get the
we went over
pay adjustment. So the money is adjusted. And so we have some financial situations that we need to address. So I was like, we need to have a meeting to talk about finances. And in the discussion, I was like, I know I just made a little bit more money, but I'm not trying to spend that money, but I am trying to appropriately allocate that money like a spear to acquire the things that I want so that we can do the things that we need to do. And in my planning was, okay, now I want us to be able to have some money over in a bank account that's a cushion. And I want us to be able to save money. So at the end of the year, we will have saved a certain amount of money. So whatever that financial pot is at the end of the year we want to save, how can we achieve that each month? And so let's have that money over there. And when I told her the amount, she got so giddy. She was like, she got so giddy because
more and more.
We're going to save this amount of money. And I was like, me knowing that saving money is important to you is a part of my plan.
Yeah.
Of my getting these things, getting the things that I want to do and doing the things I want to do.
Yeah.
So, if you have had these money conversations, let us know what it is that that has been successful for you or has been a struggle for you in terms of finances and talking about finances and dealing with finances. Because I think this point that we just made is revolutionary to some. It may have been you may have been cognitively aware of it, but to apply this and implement this into your conversations about money is like a new topic. So let us know what your thoughts are about that. And if you've done this or
if you have questions.
Exactly. If you got questions about it, please let us know in the comments. And if you like this so far, this very long podcast so far, please click the like button and subscribe to us if this is fine value. If you're going to be talking about, because we're going to be talking about a lot of different transitions and the balancing of marriages and all the conflict and issues that go on in newly married relationships. And so if you like this, please subscribe for a lot more content.
Right.
And then the last one, transition your space. Transition your space has to deal with, if you've never lived together before, moving in together, you are now entering into close quarter combat.
Yes.
And I call it close quarter combat because that's what it is. Don't let anybody tell you different. It's now you're in a combat. And the space you're combating in is the house that you're living in.
And what's funny is that because everything we just talked about from 1 to 7 is all in that house now.
Yeah.
In close quarter combat.
Yes.
It's all in that one space.
And each of you are trying to pull each other toward your side so that you can feel safe, happy, and secure. And the other person, even if you are a gracious person and you're a giving person and you're willing to give, if you feel like you're being taken advantage of, you're in self-preservation mode, and you have to feel like you need to reel some of that stuff back, take some of that control back. And so all this stuff happens in that one space. So one of the things that you have to make sure that you do is to transition that space so that each person feels like they are valued in their home.
Yeah.
In their actual space.
I think it's easier to do when you move into a new space together.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's going to be harder for you if somebody's moving into someone
else's house.
Right. Like when I moved into your house when we got married.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I was doing this, but I was like, that doesn't go there. Why did you do
I would be moving stuff. I would move stuff, and I noticed I would be moving stuff, and then I noticed it would be back. And I said, wait a minute. And so then I just started moving stuff on purpose to see if I was right. Like, oh, he moving stuff back.
Yeah, because it didn't go there. So then after a while,
I told him about it.
She told me about it, and I realized, okay, I'm not making her feel welcome in this space. Now, let's say that you already are in a home and you've been married, you've been living there, and it's a situation where you're not feeling like you're feeling like this. You can't have your own space. Like some guys want a man cave or want their own room. Just like, I want this to be my space. Don't be coming here putting a bunch of extra pillows down here. No decorative throws on the couch. Leave me alone. Oh my goodness. In those situations, you have the common space, and then you have the individual spaces. Yeah. And that's a safe way to allow each person to exist in their own space. Because what you don't want to do is, again, you don't want to devalue that person's identity. You don't want to devalue their belief system, their value system. If they feel like, oh, this is a comfort space for me, let them have that space.
Right.
Is it going to destroy your marriage to have that couch that you don't like in this room placed in a position that you don't like because he likes it? Let that man have his space, and let that woman have her space. And it's usually a discussion. You know? They just have a discussion like, oh, I want my man cave, or, she want her little reading room, whatever. But what I've seen is when that happens, the other person takes offense that it upsets their aesthetic. It upsets I'm the interior decorator. Yes, you person are. Of the house. Yes. And so I've had to accept certain things be in places and look a certain type of way that went completely against the aesthetic that I was trying to put together. That you had said that you wanted places. I was like, I don't really want that there. But you were like, oh, I want it here. So I was like, okay, I don't like it, but I'm going to let her have this space right here because I have a bigger plan for what I want to do in the basement. Which is, you usually, most of the interior stuff was you because you're very, I don't know the word, but the measurements, if something ain't on the wall, this is, you're saying aesthetically, you can't set it right there because it's 2 or 3 inches off to the left and it needs to be, I don't see all that. I just think it's cute right there. There it is, symmetrical, all that. Yeah, certain things need to be symmetrical. Certain things need to be a certain height.
Yeah, I just relinquished a lot of stuff because for you to go ahead and do the interior design
because it looks
stuff.
off when you walk into a room. Like when you go into come into our house, the top of our pictures are all the same height from the ceiling.
You mean at the old house?
No, this house
this
too,
house?
and the old house.
See, that's what I'm talking about. The top of the pit.
Yeah, because if you
Have
walk into a
at it.
room and one's lower than the other, it will look like this, and you'd be
Yeah.
like, "Why is it that don't look right?" But you won't say nothing. But it feels like. But if everything's at the top, because the bottom of the pictures can be different heights, but the tops have to be the same height. So I'm like, I have to measure from the top, and you'd be like, why are you doing all this?
No, I mean, I think it's good that you measure and do all that, but I'm saying, and that makes sense to me. But I'm saying, like, I remember, I don't know, it was just certain things I was like, let's put it right there. It could have went there, but it didn't make sense because of something else. Maybe across the room was clashing. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just stuff you think and see that I don't be thinking about. So I be like, you can have it. I just rather you.
but then there's and I know there's things that you just let me have, but then there's things that I know you want, like certain things that certain pots and stuff that you want to keep, and certain things that you want to keep and stuff. I'm like, I don't know why we're keeping that, but in terms of the space, it's like, okay,
away.
We can keep these boxes to the dish that we're using here in the pantry. That's
because
taking
I'm gonna need it when I move. I'm
very
put it back in
clear-
this box.
Right. So we're keeping this
But
box
we had to get rid of
for
a
the
lot of
one
that.
day that we move to some place. You can put it back in the box.
That was at normal school. So no longer has that been here because we don't have that kind of space.
Right.
I had to get rid of a whole lot of things.
So these big boxes are taking up this whole shelf for the one day that we need it when we move at some point in time in the future.
I had a lot of room there.
Yeah. So transition your space. Make sure that you allow the person to have space and don't let that be a point of contention. I mean, out of all the things, you think about why y'all got married. Think about what it is that y'all want to do. Think about what it is that you planned on doing or plan on doing in your marriage, and the children that you want to raise, and the family that you want to have, and the goals that you want to accomplish, and the business that you want to start, and the life that you want to live, and the grandkids you want to have, and the careers you want to have. Don't get caught up in arguments over freaking pictures and boxes and furniture and stuff like that. That's too small. Your marriage is too big for that to be a point of contention.
Right.
So
there'll be plenty of other things you could fight over. Just don't let it be space.
Don't let it be that. Please don't let it be that.
Yeah.
So those are the 7 tricky transitions that we think that married couples, newly married couples go through. Please let us know what your thoughts are about that in the comments. Again, if you thought this was helpful, please subscribe. Trying to grow the channel and get more people involved in our community. We've got several other things coming up down the road, and we'll make mention of that later on as we move forward. Looking forward to your
awesome guests coming.
Oh yeah, we got awesome guests coming. Look forward to interacting with you and celebrating in the comments and communicating in the comments.
Right.
Okay. All right, y'all. Bye.
Bye.